Jehovah's Witnesses have long waited for the fulfillment of the United Nations. What they see is the wild beast of Revelation 17, the seven-headed, tin-horned, scarlet-colored wild beast, to turn upon the harlot, which Jehovah's Witness interpretation is false religion, all false religion. That is, all religion that isn't Jehovah's Witness religion. That the UN will turn upon false religion and destroy it. And in the past, they have understood this to be that this is the one thought of God, is that false religion be destroyed. And so he puts it into the minds of the 10 kings, which under Jehovah's Witness interpretation, the 10 kings represent all of the organizations that give their authority, that are signatories to the United Nations, member nations, that they will give their authority to the UN so that it has a power to act against false religion. So that is the one thought. And this, when you look at the actual text of Revelation, this is how it is laid out. So we have here the Greek text, and then we have the NET Bible. It says, "For God has put it into their minds to carry out his purpose." That's the thought. The Greek word nome. Let's see, nomen. So it's a mental mindset. So that he puts it into their minds to carry out his thought. And how does that happen? By making a decision to give their royal power to the beast until the words of God are fulfilled. So the Greek there is kedune, and dune, to give, then basilean auton, their kingdom, auton, basilean auton, totherio, to the wild beast, telestesonde, ilogi to theo, until the words of God are accomplished. So that's the one thought, is God's desire for the beast to be destroyed. And he puts that into the hearts of these kings to do that, to destroy the wild beast. And so they, in order to do that, give their authority to the wild beast. But in a recent question from readers, the Watchtower's changed this to, "What thought will Jehovah put into the hearts of the nations in the near future?" And they make this statement. Regarding the start of the Great Tribulation, Revelation 17 says, "The 10 horns that you saw and the wild beasties will hate the prostitute and make her devastated and naked, and they will eat up her flesh and completely burn her with fire. For God put it into their hearts to carry out his thought, yes, to carry out their one thought, by giving their kingdom to the wild beast." It says, in our publications, in the past, our publications have said that the one thought that Jehovah will put it into the hearts of the wild beast, the one thought was to destroy false religion. But now they say that he will put into the hearts of the 10 horns his thought, namely that they give their power and authority to the scarlet-colored wild beast. It doesn't really fit the Greek text and what the actual text says. But they go on to say, think what that means. Will human governments simply decide on their own to hand over their power and authority to the wild beast? No. The prophecy shows that God himself will influence them to follow that course. And then compare Isaiah 44:28. Will this be a gradual shift in power? No. Evidently, it will be sudden, decisive change. Then the newly empowered wild beast will execute Jehovah's judgment on false religious organizations by removing them once and for all. So there's quite a bit of circularity in here, but where you have the desire of God, which is that the nations execute his judgment on the harlot, and so they give their authority over to the wild beast. So there's a close association with giving their authority to the wild beast and the judgment and carrying out the execution of the harlot. But really, the text speaks of it differently. That is that Jehovah puts it into the hearts of the nations of to these 10 kings to get rid of false religion. And so that's the way we've spoken of it in the past, or the Watchtower spoken of it in the past. So I'm a little confounded by why this change. It doesn't seem to follow the actual text. But in any case, what's significant is we now see Trump's Board of Peace, which has UN backing. UN Resolution 2308 gives this Board of Peace specific authority to act as regards the Gaza issue. But Trump seems to be broadening this Board of Peace and inviting others into it, and it looks like it's going to have more authority than just as regards the Gaza event. But currently, as it stands, they have authority from the United Nations in regard to Gaza. So this does seem to be, in a way, fulfilling some of this giving of authority, this kind of sharing of authority with the UN and the 10 kings. It's fascinating to watch it unravel. This is not something that Jehovah's Witnesses were expecting to take place. Other Christian prophecy watchers from other than Jehovah's Witnesses see in this Board of Peace a fulfillment of the 10 kings who have not yet received a kingdom. And so they make that connection. It's an intriguing idea. Again, as I stated, the Jehovah's Witness viewpoint is that the 10 kings are all the member states of the United Nations. I think this makes a little more sense. But in any case, this is a fascinating development.